All right, welcome back to Problem Solver Politics. We got a great episode planned for you guys today. This week has been an amazing week. Both Cher and Bernie Sanders have turned into conservative defenders of capitalism and good sound immigration policy. But today we're actually going to focus on Bernie Sanders. I mean, the most anti-capitalist man on earth. Literally has become so successful with his, some would say whiny BS, others would say antagonism of capitalism, that he's begun to make so much money off it that the thing he hates has now caught up with him, and he's a successful millionaire living the American capitalist dream, and he can't shed it. He can't shed the bad stigma of money. You know, just like prisoners have the teardrop tattoo. Unfortunately, now he's got tax returns that show he's branded. He is branded as having that filthy lucre because he had a good idea and people invested their capital in cultivating a knowledge and understanding of this idea. What do you know? You write a best-selling book and it sells and you make money. Supply and demand, ladies and gentlemen. So anyway, 2 days ago, he made a couple of comments about this, but yesterday's town hall is epic, and it just goes to prove how leftism has become a religion, an absolute dogma full of false idols and gods that you have to fool yourself into believing, even when proof is sitting right in front of your face. This from the New York Times. And this is just pure gold. We're just going to read this. Bernie Sanders at town hall says his wealth, check this out, isn't proof of the American dream. Isn't proof of the American dream. By Maggie Astor. Shortly after he disclosed his tax returns for the past 10 years, Senator Bernie Sanders on Monday rejected the idea that his newfound millionaire status was a testament to capitalism and the American dream. Appearing on Fox News in a town hall style event, Mr. Sanders defended his wealth as the honestly earned result of a popular book that he wrote. Wait a second, Cody. Is he suggesting that personal belongings, possessions, capital, yea, even money and or wealth is an honestly earned result?
Well, I think the funny thing here is like you said, I mean, because honestly, the fact that he's made money selling books, you know, like good for him, right? Like if you make money, I'm glad to hear it. It's just someone else brought this up I thought was interesting is he knew he made $1 million in 2017. He can't hide that. But the fact that his defense to his base is basically just promoting capitalism. Hey, I wrote a book. People liked it. The free market spoke. Like
I wrote a book and people liked it. And I will not apologize.
But like, I don't think he should. I think he's right. Yeah, that's how the market works. If you write a book, people like it, then good for you, man. Like, I just think it's funny that I don't know. I mean, honestly, to be frank with Bernie Sanders, I don't know what this guy stands for anymore. Because the fact that he's running for president as a Democrat after they stole the election from him, his own party, I don't know how he can just run for him again. But it's just funny to see he never came up with the kind of socialist spin on it. He really did to come back with just the capitalist message of, hey, I wrote a book, people liked it, the market spoke.
Okay. I love what you just said, Cody. I love how you said, to be honest with you, I don't know what Bernie Sanders even stands for anymore. Because the truth is, no one knows what socialists ever stand for. They always stand against something and then rile up people's worst emotions against that something in hopes of grabbing the power that something has. Bernie Sanders does not stand for anything. He's an anti-capitalist. And George Orwell, in Road to Catalonia, written in back in the 30s, said about the English socialists, which, guess what? They're not much different than the American ones, all right? He said in his book, one of the most mind-blowingly obvious quotes, that the socialists aren't as much about loving the poor as they are at simply hating the rich. And Bernie Sanders has scientific measurable quantifiers to show that he is simply just a socialist complainer. And some of his complaints gained enough traction. He was able to write a book about it. And in a capitalist society, he was able to make money off of it. And now all of a sudden, his role as a complainer in chief is a little bit compromised. I mean, look, let's keep on reading, though, just to finish this out. He said, if anybody thinks I should apologize for writing a best-selling book, he said, I'm not going to do it. What now? Why? Who's calling for his apologies, Cody?
Well, I mean, a lot of his former base, a lot of the tax the rich people that he kind of been riling up. He's arguing. I mean, honestly, to be frank, he's made a couple $1 million. He's not in the rich. Like, he's not in like the top 0.5%, $500 million net worth bracket yet. But he's very wealthy. He's one of the more rich people in the world, really.
Okay, and this is great. He says, but he did not directly answer the question asked by an audience member about whether he himself should pay more in taxes now that he is a member of the 1% for whom he has spent years calling for greater contributions. Yeah, all this crap you said about paying your fair share, this, I'm sorry, but this is better than in the climax of a movie when the bad guys, you know, the traitor that helped the bad guy the whole time ends up getting his own, you know, like the bad guy that helped out the mummy finally gets eaten by scarab beetles, you know? This is like the bad guy in the mummy getting eaten by scarab beetles. And it gets even better. Check this out. When Brett Baer, one of the Fox moderators, asked Mr. Sanders, when you wrote the book and you made the money, isn't that the definition of capitalism and the American dream? This brother found a way to deny it. Like the simplest question ever, he found a way to deny it. No, Mr. Sanders replied. I mean, you know, what we want is a country where everybody has opportunity. Dude, that's not what we asked you. You know, I have a college degree. I'm a United States Senator, but a lot of people don't have a college degree. A lot of people are not United States Senators. I want everybody in this country to be able to have health care, to have whatever. He was asked, is not writing a book, selling it, and making money the exact definition of the American dream? The American dream that so many immigrants from Eastern Europe, I mean, look at what many of the Jewish entertainers escaping the pogroms of Russia accomplished in the 20s and 30s coming over here. I mean, Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer was founded by people escaping the violence of anti-Semitism. You look at Irving Berlin writing White Christmas and some of the first patriotic songs in the United States of America and making the equivalent of modern day millions off this, coming from nothing beyond rags to riches. I mean, persecuted rags to adored riches. This is the American dream. No buts about it. And the hilarious part is it puts him up there right with the 5 other biggest socialists sitting in the U.S. Senate, or trying to at least. You got Kamala Harris, whose tax returns revealed $1.9 million almost. Elizabeth Warren sitting at almost $1 million. Bernie Sanders at $561,293. And below him, Beto O'Rourke, along with Amy Klobuchar and Kirsten Gillibrand. This is epic.
But one thing, just to kind of get back to Bernie and the campaign a little bit, I just want to point out the first quarter of the year, so pretty much kind of to date, right? Bernie Sanders has raised $18 million in the first quarter. He's beating Kamala Harris by $6 million, and you can only imagine behind her. I don't know how much Cory Booker's raised. You know what I'm saying? So the thing that's interesting here is I have to imagine a lot of the people giving Bernie Sanders $18 million in a few months aren't necessarily the most hardline tax the rich kind of people. So his money's going to keep coming in. He's going to be one of the top polling Democrats. And
of course.
While it is a little bit humorous to point out, I think it's funny also to note this also kind of exposes the real money base of Bernie Sanders. It isn't tax the rich people. It's people that can get you $18 million in 4 months. That's the actual base of Bernie Sanders. That's what he cares about. That's why he's not even bothering coming to him because, I mean, to be frank, that's probably how you win an election, is you appease the people who give you $18 million in 4 months.
At the end of the day, the time-tested principle that evil ultimately eats its own is living itself out in real time in front of our eyes.
He's the top polling Democrat and the top fundraising Democrat simultaneously.
Socialism is evil, and the evil always eat their own.
Okay, but right now, Bernie Sanders is winning. Like I said, he's a millionaire. He's winning the polls, and he's making all the money on donations. I mean, he objectively, right now, of all the Democrats, big fan of Andrew Yang as a Democrat. I'm still kind of iffy on his policies, but running as a Democrat, I think it's cool. It's just, but still, like, you have to remember that Andrew Yang is polling at 3% and raises a couple million in the first quarter. Bernie Sanders raises 18 million and polls at 35-40%. Like, he is so far ahead of the pack right now that, like I said, he can take this bombshell. Not bombshell.
Yeah, but he was also
he
a
can take that
candidate
hit.
last year. I mean, so
He was, but remember he lost. Well, I think that, again, that's a bigger story if he lost or not. But he was a failed candidate, technically speaking, who is now just taking all the money and taking all the votes or all the polling data.
He is more than just a failed candidate, though, ladies and gentlemen. He is a failed senator. Okay, we love digging into science and real, actual facts here. And before you start investing too much energy into loving Bernie Sanders, you do have to remember this. If you actually type into Google, how many bills does the average U.S. senator pass? Meaning, basically, the founding fathers wanted the Senate and the Congress to be the most deliberative body in the world, okay, where more was discussed and compromised and worked out on behalf of its constituents. And the mean senator, meaning the average senator, passes 1.4 bills a year. Hillary Clinton, I believe, when she was in the Senate, averaged 1.25 bills a year. Bernie Sanders has been there for almost 30 years, meaning he should be having somewhere between 30 and 50 bills passed. But unfortunately, I don't even think he's hit the 3 mark, and 2 of those bills were like the renaming of the post office. Oh, but wait. He's passed a lot of little amendments, meaning he's complained and refused to cast a vote on behalf of a bill until money was given to an organization, a group, or a crony of his in exchange for his vote. This is the epitome of a reactionary, not a proactive person on your behalf. And the fact that right now, the one proactive thing he did, writing a book, is getting him in hot water as a capitalist, is absolutely 110% hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, just to be fair, though, I'm no fan of Bernie Sanders, but just to be fair, while only 3 of his bills did pass, Bernie Sanders has authored 300. He's authored about 10 bills a year. So, I mean, I to be frank, I haven't read all of them. I would say it's safe to assume that
we should outlaw money. Bill number 1.
But I'm just saying, a guy like that might be proposing more radical bills that don't pass, and that might be that could be a role for certain people up there, that they kind of author these bills that maybe. But maybe the party says, we want to put this out here, but we don't think it's going to pass. We want to kind of push the conversation. Who knows the behind the data stuff? I just think I think it's kind of funny to look at any politician and say, you don't pass enough bills a year. Like, oh, cool. I passed 15 renaming post office bills this year. I mean, like, just raw data bills per year. It could be nonsense. And you could be passing a bill one year, 5 years later to pass a bill, just repealing it all. Is that doing anything? You know what I mean? Does that help anyone? So I just don't know if we should look at the bill as this like monolith. They passed a bill. Like, a lot of these bills they pass, like, we will have to figure out, are they bills worth passing? Or is someone up there just being a busybody so they could be a teacher's pet and say, hey guys, hey Americans, I pass 2 bills a year. That's higher than the average. Okay, but are they bills anybody asked for, and are we just going to be like pulling them back in a year or 2?
I can promise you guys, this is probably one of the last times you'll ever hear us talking about Bernie Sanders, because I hate to say it, but his candidacy is passé, and there's people giving much newer, fresher, and interesting ideas on the Democratic side. So if you ever find us investing energy talking about who is going to run against Donald Trump, it's probably going to be Buttigieg and Yang, because what he peddles as new ideas are really just old socialist nonsense. This is Problem Solver Politics.